are free from material misstatement. Reasonable assurance is a high-level assurance to reduce audit risk to an acceptably low level. It is not an absolute level of assurance because there are inherent limitations of audit. Inherent limitations of audit. Due to inherent limitations of audit, there is an unavoidable risk that some material misstatements of financial statement may not be detected even though audit is properly planned and performed as per SAs. Inherent limitations of audit arise from three things: nature of financial reporting, nature of audit procedures, need for audit to be conducted within reasonable time and reasonable cost, professional skepticism and professional judgment. Professional skepticism. It is an attitude that includes a questioning mind, being alert to conditions that indicate misstatements due to error or fraud, and a critical assessment of audit evidence. Auditor shall plan and perform audit with professional skepticism. Professional judgment. It is an application of relevant training, knowledge, and experience provided by auditing, accounting, and ethical standards for making informed decisions. Auditor shall exercise professional judgment in planning and performing audit. Fundamental responsibilities of management and TCWG relating to conduct of audit. Preparation and presentation of financial statements as per FRF. Design, implementation, and maintenance of internal control to enable preparation of financial statements that are free from material misstatement. Provide auditor three things: all information relevant to preparation and financial statements of preparation and presentation of financial statements, any additional information that auditor requires from management or TCWG, unrestricted access to those within entity from whom auditor can obtain evidence. And again, three things: all information, any additional information, and is unrestricted access. Certain assertions of subject matters where it is difficult to detect material misstatement due to potential effects of inherent limitations. Certain assertions or subject matters where it is difficult to detect material misstatement due to potential effects of inherent limitations include four things: fraud involving senior management or collusion, existence or and completeness of related party relationships and transactions, occurrence of non-compliance with laws and regulations, future events or conditions that may cause entity to cease to continue as a going concern. Four things: fraud involving senior level management, related party relationship, non-compliance with laws and regulations, and ability to continue as a going concern. Essay 210: agreeing the terms of audit engagement. Introduction. As per this essay, objective of auditor is to accept or continue audit engagement only when preconditions for the audit are present and there is common understanding between auditor and management or TCWG about terms of audit engagement. Preconditions for an audit. To establish whether preconditions for an audit are present, auditor shall determine whether FRF applied in preparation of financial statement is acceptable. FRF is acceptable. Obtain agreement from management that it acknowledges its responsibility for three things: preparation and presentation of financial statement as per FRF, DIM of IC, that is design, implementation, and maintenance of internal control to enable preparation of financial statement that are free from material misstatement. Provide auditor three things: any information, any additional information, and unrestricted access. All information relevant to preparation and presentation of financial statements, any additional information that auditor requests from management or TCWG, unrestricted access to those within entity from whom auditor can obtain evidence. Agreement on audit engagement terms, audit engagement letter, and what does it contain. Auditor shall agree terms of audit engagement with management or TCWG. Agreed terms of engagement shall be recorded in audit engagement letter and shall include objective and scope of audit of financial statement, responsibilities of auditor, responsibilities of management, identification of applicable FRF for preparation of FS, reference to expected form and content of any report to be issued by auditor. Agreed terms of engagement shall be recorded in audit engagement letter and shall include audit engagement letter. Five things: objective and scope, responsibilities of auditor, responsibilities of management, applicable FRF, expected form and content of any report to be issued. If management TCWG imposes a limitation and scope of auditor's work in terms of audit engagement, auditor believes that limitation will result in disclaiming an opinion on FS. Auditor shall not accept such a limited engagement. Circumstances that may warrant the revision in terms of audit engagement. Factors where it is appropriate to revise terms of engagement or to remind entity of existing terms. Any indication that entity misunderstands the objective and scope of audit, any revised or special terms of engagement, recent change in senior management, significant change in ownership, significant change in nature and size of entity's business, change in legal or regulatory requirements, change in FRF adopted in preparation of financial statement, change in other reporting requirements. Essay 220: quality control for an audit of financial statement. SQC 1 in the Baki. Introduction. This essay deals with responsibilities of auditor regarding quality control procedures for audit of financial statement. Engagement partner has to implement quality control procedures at particular audit engagement level that provide him with reasonable assurance that audit complies with professional standards and regulatory and legal requirements. SA 220 is modeled on lines of SQC 1. It describes responsibilities of EP for following matters. Leadership responsibility of quality on audits, ethical requirements, acceptance and conditions of client relationships and audit engagement, assignment of audit engagement team, engagement performance monitoring. H ആണ് assignment of audit team, engagement team എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. Additional responsibilities of engagement partner in relation to an audit engagement to ensure compliance with independence requirement that apply to audit engagement. Vishnu, hi. EP shall obtain relevant information from firm to identify circumstances that create threats to independence. Evaluate information on identified breaches to determine whether they create threat to independence for audit engagement. Take appropriate action to eliminate such threats or reduce them to an acceptable level by applying safeguards. എന്താണ് സംഭവം? Engagement partner എന്തൊക്കെ ചെയ്യണം? To ensure compliance with the independence requirement that apply with audit engagement, engagement partner shall obtain relevant information from firm to identify circumstances that create threats to independence, evaluate information on identified breaches or to determine whether they create threat to independence or audit engagement, take appropriate action to eliminate such threats or reduce them to an acceptable level by applying safeguards. For engagement quality control review, EP shall എന്തൊക്കെ ചെയ്യണം? Determine that EQCR has been appointed, discuss significant matters arising during the audit engagement with EQCR, not date the audit report until engagement quality control review is completed. SA 230 Audit Documentation. This essay deals with auditor's responsibility to prepare audit documentation for audit of financial statement. Audit documentation means record of audit procedures performed, relevant audit evidence obtained, and conclusions the auditor reached. Terms such or working paper or working papers also used. Purpose of audit documentation. Purpose: assisting engagement team to plan and perform and supervise audit, enabling engagement team to be accountable for its work, retaining record of significant matters for future audit, enabling conduct of quality control review and external inspection. Timely preparation of audit documentation. In timely basis, audit documentation should be prepared on timely basis. Documentation prepared after audit work has been performed are likely to be less accurate than documentation prepared at the time when such work is performed. Form, content and extent of audit documentation. First point: factors influencing the amount of working papers required to be maintained for audit. Form, content and extent of audit documentation depends on following factors: size and complexity of firm, nature of audit procedures to be performed, identified ROM, significance of audit evidence obtained, nature and extent of extractions identified, need to document a conclusion not determinable from evidence obtained, audit methodology and tools, timely preparation of audit documentation. 8 point: size and complexity, nature of audit procedure, ROM, audit evidence, exceptions, conclusions not determinable, methodology and tools, timely preparation of audit documentation. Documentation of compliance with SAs. Audit documentation provides evidence that audit complies with SAs. However, it is neither necessary nor practicable for auditor to document every matter. It is unnecessary for auditor to document separately compliance with matters for which compliance is demonstrated by documents included within audit file. For example, existence of documented audit plan demonstrate that auditor has planned the audit. Existence of signed engagement letter in audit file demonstrate that auditor has agreed terms of audit engagement with management or TCWG. Auditor's report containing qualified opinion demonstrate that auditor has complied with requirements to express qualified opinion. In relation to requirements that apply generally throughout audit, such as professional skepticism, there are a number of ways in which compliance with them may be demonstrated within audit file. Assembly of filed audit file. Auditor shall assemble audit documentation in an audit file and complete administration process on a timely basis within 60 days after date of auditor's report. After assembly is completed, auditor shall not delete or discard audit documentation of any nature before and of its retention period, which is not shorter than 7 years from the date of auditor's report. If auditor finds necessary to modify or add documentation after completion of assembly of final audit file, auditor shall document specific reasons for making them, when and by whom they were made and reviewed. Last, ownership of audit documentation. Auditor is responsible to provide access to working papers. Audit documentation is the property of auditor. Auditor may at his discretion make portions of working papers available to client provided such disclosures does not undermine validity of work performed and independence of auditor office personnel. However, if there is a request by regulator to provide access to working papers, it has to be complied with after informing the client. Therefore, it is auditor's responsibility to provide access to his audit working papers to regulators, whereas it is at auditor's discretion to make portions of his working papers to client. Sabash Kalas. I don't know.